Hey, what's up YouTube? Thank you for joining me. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you watch the video to the end, please like, share and subscribe if you find it informative. I want to talk to you today about past life regression and the reason why it's important for any of us to try and to have a past life regression done. The reason why I'm going to talk about it is because I know it's something you wouldn't have learned at school. It's something you would have to have gone on and train in and paid your money and developed some type of master's degree, doctorate degree to get that type of training. But it doesn't stop you as the individual on getting a past life regression done. There is a lady called Naoshi Hypno who is very informative. If you check her out, I will try and see if I can link her in the description. I'm not 100% sure how to do it, so please bear with me. But her name is Naoshi, spelling Neoshi, and then that is Hypno, Hypno, Hypno. Check her out on past life regression. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because for many people that is on a soul journey, and they're on a soul journey to clear out karmic cycles. The karmic cycles that you have are coming from previous lives. And I learned about this when I was given my own one through God. And I will share that with you at some stage later in the conversation, in the chat. But once I realized how some of the universe works when it comes to soul and soul karma, it really does help you close out some cycles, because in this lifetime you're going to gain more karmic cycles, but you can prevent them once you understand them. So it's about knowledge, and knowledge is power. So the more you know about karmic cycles, the better you are prepared to handle it when it comes and to prevent any further one happening. And what it feels like is when you first meet somebody for the first time, you do not know them by face, physically, never had a conversation in this dimension, in this realm, but your soul will feel like you know them. You will feel immediately comfortable around them. And in some cases, if it's not a soul sister or soul brother, it could be a relationship. And in it being a relationship, you will find very quickly things can progress into a strong, emotional, connected relationship where it challenges quite a lot of emotion on yourself and also to the person that is involved. Now, when you feel yourself emotionally being challenged, you'll find that those two people will constantly keep bumping heads. And in fact, every time I do a video, I get wind that wants to come up. In fact, when you bump heads, it is there to learn something from it. So I've mentioned this before in previous videos. One person's supposed to learn probably how to love, empathy, patience, logic. It could be something as small as that. Because really, we are here to learn every emotion. We're here to experience every emotion when we come on this earth, good and bad. And sometimes in one life you play the saint, and sometimes in another life you play the villain. And I hope that if you've played the villain, you will no need to keep playing the villain, because we are supposed to progress. So the first example I want to give you is that I'll give you a neighbor of mine that I used to live near to. And it was quite funny because, why I was seeing her past life, but I did. And I didn't see many, I just saw one. But yeah, I saw her past life. And in this past life, she lived in like the 14th century. And she was in England at the time. Somewhere in Europe, actually. I won't say England because it wasn't, I didn't get the location, but at the time period it was mostly forests. So there was just a lot of trees, and people used to build houses inside the forests, and it would just be like a sort of like a circle shape round house, you know, similar to a shape like an igloo. And it would just be one room, and people, obviously you would know at that time, people just lived in one room, and it would just be a large room to cook in and keep warm, sleep, so forth. Just stop yourself from being outside. Anyway, so I saw her in this vision, and she would go out to the forest and she would kill squirrels, birds, just forest animals, really. Any forest animal she can get her hands on. And she would take them back to her house. And she had built shells in this house. And in the shells, she would place in the jar mason, like decomposed lizards and squirrels and rats and all different things. But the worst thing I saw her do in that life was, because it was, the word I saw was folklore. So she practiced folklore witchcraft in that time period. So it was more dark magic, and maybe it was people come to see her for different spells and different things. And she would practice it by killing a lot of the animals. Now, in the law of God, you cannot kill his animals for sacrifice. God has to do that. It's not for us human beings to kill these animals and whatever, particularly collecting them up. Anyway, going further, in the middle of this room, she had a massive, like a cauldron pot. And she will be stirring her fixings, as they would say back in that time. It was the fixings, like preparation for potions and spells and so forth, and chanting into this potion. And the reason why she, sorry, let's go back one step. So as I'm looking at her, she's dressed in this, similar to the material monks wore, the brown one, when monks used to wear this kind of brown sackcloth looking heavy material. She had one in black. And she was older in her time, around the time I looked at her. I would say she was about, say, 70 or something of that nature. And she had, her hair was grey, but her hair sat to the side, and it was just one big massive knot. It was silver. And so now, sorry, I'm jumping over the place because I'm trying to fit in as much detail to you as possible before I tell you what I want to say. She would also eat the hearts of certain animals for strength or for certain rituals to her gods that she would have worshipped in that time. And she would eat the heart. And that caused her to be in sin, and when she passed over, she had floated from the time of the 14th century, and then she came in back. She managed to respawn back in, sorry, in fortnight terms, respawn back in the year 1923 or something like that, 1926, something like that. I'm just giving you a rough guess of when she was born. It took all that period for her to come to do something that was against the law, and then to be respawned back into another time period in this year. And I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, like I could see all her, like this period in time where she lived a certain lifestyle, and how it affected her and how she has to pay the penalty for those things. So in this lifetime, she was a person who had a garden, and it was something that was instilled in her to have a magical garden, and she had one, because the house I lived in was like a house in conversion, and she lived below me, I lived above, and she had the garden and the garden access. So she'd done this garden up, absolutely beautiful. It was like that when I moved in and I first met her. And it had lights, and every flower and every she would feed the birds, and the birds and the cats used to roll through. Tomcats used to roll on by. She had a dog which was blind, and she was like caring for the animals. And it made sense. And I thought, so the penalty is being that she took when she was killing the animals. In this lifetime, she had to show love to the animals. And it could be as simple as something like that. But these things are karma. These things are like penalties to yourself. But one of the second thing I knew with her, which to signify her, and actually this is another spiritual, because when we come back, when we're born into the physical playing field, there are more dimensions of us across different dimensions. And because she is marked for that sin, for that period, in a dimension, and I hope this makes sense, she is signified as a bird. So it is like let me find out what the word is, like the meaning of it. It is like I want to say like a representation on like an eye for the trouble that she caused. So she is not in every, remember there's more than one dimension of you, and you will be a spirit body in different dimensions, but in certain dimensions where you create sin, you are given a mark. She's marked. Well, we are all marked actually, in fact, but what I'm trying to explain is that she was this bald bird with bulging eyes, very ugly by the way, and as a representation to her in this life, the bird had this scrunched up type of skin that sat just before the nose beak in this dimension, because I saw her in that dimension too. And in her physical form, talking to her like the way I'm sitting here talking to you, she also had a certain feature that represented this bird in this dimension. And the nose had this extra wrinkle. I don't want to push it down, but like I do want to push it down just to show you, but it will not look like it because she had a lot more skin that sat around here. And when I saw her, I could see this bird that was a representation of her in one of her dimensions for it's like a sentence, the bird also had this silver ring round one of its legs at the bottom, like the ankle, to say, it's like a prisoner sort of thing. And yeah, it was a representation of her. And I didn't want to tell her because many people get scared about things like this, but we have to understand that it is going to be there regardless whether we want to hear it or not. It is the Zohar, and the Zohar is really us, what we do, our journey, all our journeys across every century, our sins across every century, and the dimensions of our sins and soul in every century, because that's where we've left our mark in every century. And that's why it doesn't matter whether it was the past, if it's the present, and obviously whether what's going on in the future. In the spiritual sense, there is no timeline. There's no, you can go back, you can be in the present, and you can go forward. There is no restrictions between those things when it comes to the Zohar. Many people might identify that as the Kabbalah. This is what a lot of celebrities sort of have their secret meetings to be inside the Kabbalah, but it turns people spiritually sick because you have to be covered by God like an angel to be shown certain things, because when you step into the unknown and you don't know how to navigate in that unknown, you can see some things that can be more horrific than a horror movie. So I wouldn't play with it, but if I'm shown something, I just accept what I'm shown. I personally wouldn't try to access and go in again without the support of my guides, my angels, and anybody that is of a higher sort of celestial spirit that is, what's the word? Yes, a higher celestial spirit that will be able to kind of cover me, guide me in that kind of unknowing. So going back to, this is why past life regression is very important, because it's all part of your karma. For myself, I saw myself in as part of the Maasai tribe. I was married to this man, this long, skinny, jumping man, the man that the tribe that jumps high, and he had about 4 wives, and I was one of his wives at that time. When I was one of his wives, there was obviously some type of issue with him, and there was a plotting, and they got rid of me. So I left that dimension and that realm early, earlier than probably would have intended. So I was, what do you call, I don't know what word to use. I don't want it to be stamped through YouTube, but I was whacked off, if you know what I mean. And what they did with me at the time is they chopped me up and put me in a box and threw me in the river. So in that life, my soul was stuck inside this river, inside this box. And I was in torment in one of my souls in that box. And I had to, in my life, go back and free myself. And for some reason, my spirit went back to the village that I came from and where I lived with my husband and his 3 other wives. And there was children. And I remember thinking to myself at that time, you know, there was a little boy and he belonged to me. And I thought, I wouldn't be able to raise my kid. I wouldn't be able to raise my child. But either way, it was a freeing of the soul. So there are many more that I could share with you. But if you're interested, then my past lives, tell me, let me know, and I will tell you. I personally haven't had a past life regression done. However, I will still go get one, because it's a way of tuning into the higher self, and there could be more things that could come up that I have not personally seen for myself in my past lives as well. But I have seen many different things, good and bad, and for myself. So yeah, I will encourage you to get it done, because your souls are trapped in different dimension, in different time. Remember I said past, present, future. There really doesn't matter across all the board. Even if you've done it, it was over 1,000 years ago. If your soul was here 1,000 years ago, your soul had an injustice, or your soul feels you've done an injustice to somebody. No, let's look at it from, you feel injustice from your soul at that time. And the reason why I say in that respect, because when you look at it from someone's done you something, then you can be trapped because you feel like someone owes you something, like you're not letting something go. And this is why the connection between karmic cycles and forgiveness is key. Forgiveness that God preaches about is part of your freeing of everything for you. So it goes a long way, more than we realize. It's not just forgiveness just because you need, everybody should understand why they're forgiving. It is for you, for health, to feel healthy within yourself, yes, mentally, but it's also for you to close out any karmic cycles. Because when you don't forgive, forgiveness turns into bitterness. Bitterness turns into anger. anger turns into resentment, and it could just be go from there, and then an obsession. But it's potentially what that does, it opens up spiritual windows and spiritual doors and allows dark spirits, dark energies to attack you. You know, I want to share something else with you as well. When I wasn't paying much attention to my spiritual gifts, I had this horrible dream one night, and I walked into a room and there was this demon sitting there with this long fingers and nails and feet and like web feet. Oh, sorry. And he was sitting on the table and he had a candlelight next to him and he had a book. I'm just checking to see if I could see a book, but I can't. He had a book the size of about this thick, and it was sitting there and he had it open and he's laughing going but telepathically, while he was laughing, he was telling me, I have legal rights to attack you because this is your book. This, I think it was, this is your book with everything that you've done wrong. So we have legal rights to come on the basis that you're outside the law. We can attack you based on things you have done in your previous past, presently, and what you probably will do in your future, because you haven't cleaned up certain acts, you haven't tied up certain ends. So forgiveness is very key to prevent any emotion lingering. And this is what keeps souls trapped. This is what makes people make poor decisions. This is what makes people hate. It's all in collaboration to one. So when I look back at that, I said, no, that's not going to be me. And I thank God I took the time to become more aligned with the truth, more aligned with God, more aligned with understanding the law. And once I put myself to it, it just opened up a whole new floodgates of just more than just what the eye sees. The veil was lifted. Now, mind you, it was going on, my veil was lifted and I was seeing so much. There was a point I said to God, God, please, I need you to take this away, because I am seeing things that is beyond my wildest dreams. And also things that scared me. I mean, I would have people I used to see every day before the veil was lifted. I never thought nothing of them when I saw them. Hi, morning, how are you? How's your day? X, Y, nothing. And then when my veil was lifted and I would see those same people, I would be like this. Because I can't believe who, I never saw this before. And what was happening was the people I used to see on my way to dropping off school run, to work, to this, that and the other, they all had demons, and I started to see their demons on them. If it wasn't on them, I would see it in their eyes. Their eyes used to shapeshift and it will go between the snake and them. And I'll be like, oh, you're right, good morning, and run off. And they start thinking, gosh, this girl's a bit strange. But that's what it means when the veil's lifted. Not everybody would have it, because not everybody will be able to cope with who you talk to, who your partner is, who you work with. When the veil's lifted, you will see some demons, and it will be on people you know what I mean. So yeah, it is a scary place. It's scary to see, and see all the time, and it starts to separate you, because now you just don't even want to, you can't mix with the beast, because it's more of a low vibration, a lower energy. But when Neoshi does it to help people, Neoshi Hypno, she allows you to reach to your higher consciousness And when you reach to that higher consciousness, you can tap into past life cycles that went wrong, things that you've held on to and you have not forgiven. It's important to lift that up and go from there. Okay, I hope I've covered everything in this video in regarding past life regression. And also I want to say to empaths, please make sure, sorry, I always get this when I talk on this app. Please, on your platform, please for you, if you're on this soul journey, is so important. I would say anyone that is an empath, that is a star seed, go and get a past life regression. I feel for you more than anything, anybody, that it's going to be so beneficial to your journey going forward. It will be so beneficial to your journey because you've already been given a gift, and it's just time to unlock that gift a bit more, okay? Thank me when you go and have one. You know what I'm talking about. All right, I just want to share something with you. I made this candle. It looks like a drink. It's looks like tea. And I put this wicker in there and it's split. So now I can't even use it. All right, let's take a drink. All right, see you later. Bye.